All right. Happy Thursday evening after Christmas. This is our after Christmas podcast. I'm Mr. X, and
And I'm Mr.
introduce
Mint.
yourself, Mr. Mint. And
I
notice
thought you were going to do me the honors.
his punctuation and capitalization is correct this week. That was bothering the hell out of me last week. If you
Yeah,
don't remember,
I
if you
knew it
caught
was,
those.
so that's how I had. That's why I went back and changed it.
Well, I appreciate that. Then I'm not going to shake the entire hour here. But Merry Christmas, Jam.
Yeah, man. Merry Christmas.
Was it good?
Um, yeah, it was good. I mean, it was super easy because we didn't really do anything. We just drove to a family member's house. They cooked everything, so we just got to go there, show up, and eat. We hung out for a little bit and then went back home. So it was super easy.
Okay. So you didn't have to travel out of state or anything?
Didn't travel out of state, just like about a 40-minute drive. I have actually been considering taking a trip, man, but I don't know, man. It seems like a lot of craziness going around airports these days. There's a lot of people out there protesting. I don't know if it's really smart to travel out of state right now. How do you feel, man, as somebody that travels often?
So I travel every week. Actually, this last week was crazy. I was in 4 time zones in 5 days.
Mm.
Some of it traveling, but thankfully I didn't go to JFK or LAX.
Yeah, man. I guess you have these protesters that are protesting on the highway leading to these airports, which to me is so crazy that nobody's doing anything about this. Like, I understand the right to a peaceful protest, but blocking an intersection is not a peaceful protest.
Well, I think this is all these topics are multi-layered like last week. So it's not just about how you're protesting and blocking traffic. Let's talk about
Right.
that first, but it's also what they're protesting for, which is another, very controversial topic right now. But to your
Probably
point,
probably the most sensitive topic that's going on right now.
yeah. Well, and to your point, whatever you're protesting for, so they did arrest some of the JFK people though, that were blocking JFK. They arrested
As
like
they should.
23 of them. But yeah, I don't understand what you hope to accomplish by blocking traffic. I mean, you could be blocking. I mean, if someone's out for a leisurely stroll or drive, obviously that's
Mhm.
not a big deal. But the majority of people are driving somewhere because they need to get there, and especially an airport. I mean, the consequences of you not being able to get to the airport. They said people were getting out of their cars and walking because they were going to miss their
Walking.
flights.
I did see that. So the protesters, they're the pro-Palestine protesters, which again, super sensitive topic right now. But my whole thing is that if you're trying to get people behind your cause, how is inconveniencing them the
Or
way
pissing them
to go
off.
about? Right. Forget inconvenience. Totally pissing people off to the point where they're ready to commit a crime of assault to get you out of the road. Now, the other thing is, I'm pretty sure, I'm not a lawyer, and I know that we have some that may be watching. I thought it was illegal to what is it? Impugn the flow of traffic. What's the word I'm looking for?
So again, I'm not a lawyer either. I do remember back during the George Floyd protests. Some
Hmm.
people call them protests, some people call them riots. That DeSantis, who was much more popular at the time, he
Yeah.
made that rule in Florida, which you used to live in Florida. You know what I'm talking about? He said you could run over protesters. Essentially, is
Yeah.
what the law said.
DeSantis, man, he really lost favor over the last
Yeah,
couple of
he's
years.
going down. But I actually like that because here's the thing. So, these were people trying to get to their flights, but which is extremely important. But what if they're blocking the roads not to the
Oh,
airport or somewhere else?
hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get to the hospital. Maybe your mother is on her last breath, and you're trying to get to the hospital to say goodbye to her. Did you ever see that Changing Lanes movie? It was
No.
Sam Jackson and Ben Affleck, and essentially Ben Affleck's a lawyer, and Samuel L. Jackson. They're in a car accident. They're both in a hurry, and
Mhm.
because of that, Samuel L. Jackson is late to his kid's custody hearing, and he loses custody of his kids.
Mm.
So he gets vengeful and he goes after Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck is, I'll do anything. What do you want? And he goes, I need those 20 minutes back.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Can't give it back.
So to the point of you're blocking traffic, I mean, it's great you want to support a cause and to your point,
Right.
peacefully protest, but you could be destroying someone's life.
And I just don't really understand what protesting in this country has anything to do with what's going on the other side of the world. I mean, I know that there's funding from the United States. From what I understand, the United States funds both sides of this war. So it's they're protesting the United States to call for a ceasefire, but it's what the hell So you're telling the United States to talk Israel into a ceasefire, is what I'm understanding.
So this is going to be a really sensitive topic because I do see legitimate reasons to protest and peacefully gather and show strength. And I think that many times that's what's done. But I think a lot of times it's not. It's my favorite comedian. I never miss him live. I just saw him a few months ago. Anthony Jeselnik. He does this. He does this. He's the comic that goes where you shouldn't. I mean, he talks about.
Is he the guy that has like that super dry, dark delivery?
Yeah, he talks about killing babies and anywhere he goes, it's totally out. But one of the things he talks about is whenever there's a travesty, people go to Twitter and they say, "My thoughts and prayers for what happened."
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
good for?
He goes, that's good for nothing. You know what they're saying? They're saying, "Look at me, don't forget me today." Right. You know, and I think sometimes, in my mind, not all, but sometimes protesting falls into that same category. They're not going there to actually support a cause or make a difference. They're going there because they want recognition.
Well, forget it. The Twitter protesters are the worst, man. The I support the current thing crowd. But going out in the streets and taking to the streets, that's a little bit more serious. But you know what? The guy, the new president for Argentina, he got this like right-wing president. His name is, Javier Milei. So I think he recently passed something or is trying to pass something. First of all, he slashed like a whole bunch of government programs that were like, I guess, not beneficial. But that if you're caught protesting, I don't know if it's an extreme level of protesting, but they'll remove welfare benefits from you if you're on welfare. Basically saying you're not going to just sit out here all day ruining other people's lives and you're just getting paid from the government. So I see a lot of people on Twitter saying that they should implement that here. Arrest people that are protesting in the streets, blocking highways and such, and deporting people that aren't legal and taking people off of welfare that are using those systems.
So it's funny you say that. All right, I'm about to state something that people are going to misinterpret and a soundbite's going to come out wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying if you're a protester blocking traffic, you're on welfare. I'm not saying that at all. However,
they're not at work.
That's my point. They're not at work. How do you get out? I mean, you and I have very, very full schedules, like extremely full schedules. Yeah. It's like, I don't have time to go do that, even if I wanted to. So you know what I would do if I want to support a cause? And this is just because this is my resource. I send money. I send money when there's a cause I want to support. So, and that's not, I'm not saying that's the only way to support a cause or the only good way, but standing in traffic, blocking other people's lives doesn't help people in Palestine.
No, I think if anything, it makes people against your cause, whatever the cause may be, whether it was this or something else. If you're like disrupting, my ability to get to work or to get to the airport or whatever, something even more important, whatever your cause is, I'm immediately against it. And now I was just telling you, go ahead. I want to. Well,
and this again, controversial. I mean, the biggest protests we had were the summer of 2020 in the U.S., where a lot of the protests turned violent and they hurt people and destroyed property. And unfortunately, and I am a believer that we don't need to abolish police, but I know some bad things happen. I know there's still racism in this country. I don't think it's systemic racism. I don't think that I think my wife and I are successful because we work really hard and we're really smart. We have had some advantages, or we haven't had to face some obstacles that people, minorities have, but it turned people against that cause. It turned people against, the police brutality against minorities because of what some of the protesters were doing, to your point.
Well, I know that there was people like within the communities where these riots were occurring that, people are getting their businesses burned down. People are getting killed, and that are saying, like, to your point, this isn't helping. If anything, this is making me go against your cause.
Correct.
But the more recent thing, I don't know, again, kind of a touchy subject, but the same protests that are happening, blocking these airport highways, are protesting in front of the World Trade Center, man. So to me, that's crazy disrespectful.
So I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I can't speak to what's happening over, on the Gaza Strip or in Israel or Palestine. Well, this, we had a trip scheduled to Israel, and we had to cancel it. But So I can't speak to what's going on over there. I who shot first, what's,
Right.
what's going on. Cause
Well, that's been going on since biblical times, and I'm Jewish, but I don't even know I'm open-minded enough to know that there's probably issues on both sides. I'm not one of those closed-minded people that just thinks one way or the other. But yeah, to your point, this has been going on for a very long time. So for people to all of a sudden be so up in arms about it, it's like,
why do they care about it now? Yeah. I mean,
right.
people of Jewish descent have been discriminated against more than anyone else in history from a world aspect. Just killed and martyred but the hilarious thing about it is that they're allowing, there's so much hate towards not Judaism, but the Jewish culture right now. I mean, all the stuff going on at Harvard and schools and, people being locked in rooms because they're, the Palestinian protesters, which I'm sure a lot of them have a great heart and a great, they're worried about Palestinians being killed because Israel is firing back. But going after Jews here doesn't help your cause. It makes people, it makes people want to hate you.
I think I froze. Can you hear me?
You froze, but I can still hear you.
Let me try to jump out and then jump back in.
All right. So, yeah, and again, I the hard part is most of the stuff we see, and I know Jem's not hearing this, but the people watching, is from the news, and every news network has its own agenda, and some lean towards certain beliefs, some lead towards other beliefs. That's the huge issue, is you don't know what to believe or what's really going on. His device is not connected, Mr. Mint. Technical difficulties on a live show. That's what happens. So it's look at this. The guy does YouTube for a living, and now he's I finally got my camera looking good. Now it's just this awkward silence. And when we go back and watch the analytics right now, see how many people dropped off because Jem's gone and it's just me. But so anyway, in summary, I support a peaceful right to protest, but you can't impede other people's business because it just, to Jem's point, it makes them hate the cause even more. I mean, I got news for you. If I was in a serious rush somewhere, that had pretty serious implications for my life, going to see a loved one who was passing away, trying to pick up my child from school, trying to make a flight. If people were in front of me, I would probably inch my car a lot closer. And I'm really excited because now we're just making it the Mr. X show. I have a Cybertruck on order, and those are bulletproof. So I'd be set, right? And allegedly a bat won't break the window now on the actual production models, although it did on the prototype. So that's to the point. So throw down in the comments, both the people watching live and then people afterwards. What do you guys think? If you're protesting a cause that you believe in, do you have the right to block traffic of any sort? Do you have the right to keep people away from wherever they're on their way to? I think he's coming back on. Device not connected, now connected. I see him in the back room. He's working on it. So, Fee Mint, I wonder if she's related to Mr. Mint, asked if what happens if the people start getting on my vehicle or all over it. That's why I will have a Cybertruck, and that's why I usually conceal and carry, just in case, with a permit. I do have a permit. DJ Lynx is protesting my immaculate hair. Yeah, it stayed well today. Worked slow because it's Christmas week. A lot of people aren't working, so I wasn't, pulling my hair out all stressed. I'm just reading some of the comments now. Oh, live podcasts. So some of the other comments we are going to do today, Jem's restarting his computer. Some of the other topics, somewhere in the description, we are going to look at some of these food vloggers. And there's going to be we're going to do that next, actually, some really extreme stuff. I recently started seeing some of these. Oh, he's back.
Dude,
all right.
This is to leave you hanging, man. I told you on them sensitive topics, man, they try to shut you down.
Yeah. So I kind of summed it up and I asked for comments on that. And then I started leading towards our next topic. Anything you want to close out about protesters blocking traffic?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I think they should be arrested. I think if you're here illegally, you should be deported. I think if you're on government assistance and you're spending your days protesting by blocking traffic, you should have those removed. I think if you want to have a peaceful protest the right way, I think that's totally fine. You know, get your picket signs and whatever. But I think there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. And I think that inconveniencing and potentially harming your average citizens is the wrong way to go about it. And I don't know what you said. Protesting in front of the World Trade Center is crazy disrespectful, like I said before, man.
Yep. No, I totally agree. So next topic, I started alluding to it recently. About a month ago, I started getting some streams on Facebook and YouTube Shorts. You know, that's the big thing right now, are the shorts of these food vloggers that essentially they just film themselves eating. Most of the time, restaurants, you know, and most of them are in their car. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? But then I started getting a little addicted. Now I'm not going out and searching these people, but I am every time it's on, I just have to watch. I don't know why.
So before you say what's funny is I recently went to Singapore. I went to Brazil and Singapore, and I did a vlog.
You flexing there?
No, not at all. But I'm just saying I was being a vlogger, so I'm vlogging. And as I'm editing it, I'm like, oh, this is all just food. This is just all me eating different types of food because I'm there recording for what I'm there for. So besides that, it's eating and sleeping. So I thought that was pretty funny. So
I watched some of your travel vlogs. Did you show yourself eating though? I think you just showed the food, right?
Two little clips I did show myself eating them, only because in McDonald's, they have this thing called a McSpicy, which is like all the rage in Singapore. And I don't think that we have that here. I don't really eat McDonald's like that. So the guy I was with was like, you got to do a food review of it. So I did it, and it wasn't nothing crazy. But and then they had me eat this nasty ass fruit. And I had to eat a piece of watermelon to like cleanse my palate. So I ate the watermelon on camera. But no, it wasn't like this person that you're about to show. And what's funny is when you said her name, I didn't know who it was. But as soon as I saw the thumbnail, I said, oh, I seen this chick on Instagram Reels.
Yeah, and this one's unique, this particular one. But the whole thing is pretty fascinating to me, just watching people eat. And I don't know why. And some of it, you like to see the food, you know, especially if it's restaurants you haven't been to, what it really looks like from in the pictures. And it actually made me try a few things. Like I think the first time I saw it, somebody was eating Firehouse's meatball and pepperoni sub, and I went and had that shit like 3 times. It was fantastic. So you got to think for the companies that the restaurants they go to, it's great. It's free marketing for them.
Yeah, good promotion.
All right, so I'm going to show this. This is the one that. The food videos make you nauseous. This one will make you nauseous. And, you know, props to this female food vlogger and anyone who's doing it, because a lot of these people have millions of followers. Just millions.
And also to preface this one, what's her name again? It's Gal V. Food.
Gal, I think. Yeah, it's like Gal V Food. So
this person, you'll see her on Instagram Reels, and it's like shortened for like a 60-second clip. And you would
wait, hang on. I don't want to spoil anything.
All right, go ahead.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
I don't know what made you want to show me this too, first of all.
Yeah, it was just I was obsessed with it.
This is what you're into. This is Mr. X current fetish.
Yeah. Don't say that. That's freaking me out. All right, hang on. All right. Hang on. For some reason I updated my browser and it's making me Yeah,
I don't know why it froze me up. Gal versus food.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So first of all, look at a few things here. Number one, her video's 400,000 views.
Oh yeah, she gets the views.
I mean, yeah, it's countless stuff right here. So let's go to her shorts actually, because that's kind of what I watch, and this is what you were kind of leading into. But like here, all right.
All right, it's the end of the donut series. We're gonna stack on 24.
Hang on, can you hear it or no?
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
It sounds like I hear it through your mic, but that's fine. I've seen other people do this where they smash it down like a sandwich.
That's 24. This is how we do, baby.
Yes,
I'm violating.
I've never seen a video of hers with her talking. It's always just constantly eating.
Yeah, with that music, the do.
We'll try it.
And to save it, she eats the whole thing. And Jem,
You want some donuts, bro?
hang on.
So okay, yeah. So
No, hang on. I want to show one more. Like her just.
I'm gonna one bite eat donut. We're trying. Wait,
right, because it'll kind of just show her like clips of just eating, and you'll be like, there's no way she's eating that whole thing. It looks like she's just taking one bite out of everything, right?
Yeah, hang on.
I don't even want to know where all this food goes, man.
Here,
yeah. There it is. One of the Mario soundtrack.
Yeah.
So you'll see her take a bite, and it looks like it's edited, right? So
yeah.
So in the comments, you'll see people being like, "Oh, this is fake. She's just taking one bite, then spitting it out." But you'll see a lot of comments saying, "Nah, watch her YouTube videos. She eats all of this stuff."
Yeah, because she's getting pretty famous on Instagram and Facebook now. I think she started on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And you're absolutely right. And if you do, I've watched a few of them, the full ones, but she does. Like people,
I've never watched it.
No joke intended, but she doesn't swallow. I mean, but she does. She actually swallows. So I don't First of all, this is so mysterious on so many levels. Let's talk about this girl's health.
Right.
She can't be in good health.
First of all, she's probably. I mean, I hate to say it, but she's probably bulimic, yo. You think she's keeping all this in?
I don't know. I mean, you would
it's
think
not physically possible, bro. She's eating like 4,000 or 5,000 calories. I think she says the calorie count on these videos, right?
Well, some of them, yeah. I mean, there's some weird human abilities out there, man. I mean,
I don't care.
Hey, we're both comic book people. Maybe this is her mutant power.
I don't care how fast your metabolism is. This is obviously a slim girl. Play one of her long form videos, and I never seen one of them where she actually is eating all this food, yo.
All right, let's do that, and then
yeah, I just want to see her fill her mouth. That's what Fee says.
I saw that.
So my wife is watching this. Tell me you don't want to do that donut sandwich challenge. That would be her favorite.
Okay, here we are. Full, no video cuts. I'll turn the volume down.
I wonder what her demographic looks like. Make it large, full screen.
Hang on.
Yeah. The demo, you think it's all guys watching this, to her point?
No, because actually when I started watching, it was some male food vloggers that I liked.
But I was watching this guy, but he started to gross me out. I think it was Beard versus Food. And it was just like, oh, so much. He would go to these restaurants that have these challenges, like if you could eat this thing, you get it for free or whatever.
No, that's kind of like the Adam guy from Man vs. Food. No, this is a guy, he was really just kind of doing reviews in his car and trying different things and doing combos that people said. So again, this is a 32-minute video. We're obviously not going to watch it, but she eats 5,000 calories.
Now, Mr. X, you're over here spending thousands of dollars on statues just for one video when you could just be in your car eating a Big Mac or multiple Big Macs for a fraction of the cost, getting way more views.
Well, first of all, she must have the metabolism of, like I said, a superhero, because my metabolism is if I look at a donut, I gain weight.
Yeah, me too.
So let alone eat one.
So I've recently lost a lot of weight. I've been putting some back on because if I'm not on a strict regimen, forget about it. I start blowing up like a balloon, man. So to see something like this, that's why I'm thinking, man, there's no way she's keeping this shit down, man.
But look, you would think someone like this has people in her life that care about her, right?
Can't be good for her arteries, right? All that shit.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. And it's trash food at the same time, fast food.
So I'm going to take that off. So what does the chat think? Like, is this real? First of all, is she even really doing it? And then second of all, are there side effects, whether it's her, puking up the food or her about to die tomorrow, or does she just have some superhuman ability that, that eventually might catch up with her or go away?
To that point, and my wife has seen this reel recently as well. You might have seen it on X, where I guess there was a couple of what do they call them? They were like fat friendly influencers, and there was like 4 of them. And every time they would show a clip of like them doing their intro, the person reacting was like, "Oh, that person died. That person's dead. That person died." It was like 4 of them. They were all overweight, unhealthy, and they were promoting that as like their lifestyle in a positive way. And they all died in like their 30s. So I mean, it's
So Mrs. X is obsessed with that 600-pound show. And I was a little obsessed for about 20 episodes, and then I can't watch it anymore. But
Yeah.
these people, they eat what she eats, but they're just 600 to 800 pounds. I mean,
my whole thing was
they will eat 3 pizzas for dinner.
I wonder, because when I was hitting close to 300 pounds, I felt like I was going to die any day. Like I'm like, how do you even get that big? Because I'm not even near there, and I feel like I'm about to keel over. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. That shit blows my mind. I can't.
You weren't near that,
bro. I was almost 300. I was like 290 pounds.
What'd you call me?
My bro, my bestest bro.
So, yeah, I just it's and why do people like to watch that stuff? That's the other thing too. I don't know why I like to watch it. Yeah, in the 600-pound show, like all of them had like spouses too, which was the freaky thing.
Yeah, because they enable each other, I think.
Yeah, till death do us part. I don't know what the obsession is to watch that stuff. I like food like everybody else. I mean, food's very few people food is not enjoyable to.
You know what's funny that I noticed about you, because when you came to visit us here, when you find something you like, you tend to stick with it. Would you eat for every meal?
Portillo's, yeah, because they don't have them. Well, there is one opening where I live next year, but I'm a huge Portillo's fan. So anytime you're near that area of the country where it's funny, we're opening a new location at work, and I had to go up there to do start establishing some stuff. And my hotel, there was a Portillo's right across from it, so I was stoked.
You were happy as hell.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those weird fascinations. It's crazy. Used to be abnormal, and now it's a freak show. So that's a good comment. So Mrs. Mint commented, being fat used to be something abnormal and par, and now it's a freak show. You think of all those reality shows, not just the one I'm talking about, but tons of them.
Check this out. So I was in Singapore, right? And there is food everywhere you go. First of all, there's a mall everywhere you go, multiple floors, every floor, it's all restaurants. So I'm like, all there is to really do there is eat. Everywhere you go, there's malls that have food places all in it. There's food centers, which is basically like you walk into this building and it's a mall, but nothing but food, literally just food. And you walk around and nobody's really overweight.
That's what I was going to ask you. So since I travel so much, I do, international 4 or 5 times a year, but in the US it's every week. I notice from state to state, it is very, very apparent. I mean, Texas being you go to Texas and it's 3 and 4 people are obese. Where I live, it's a very fit state. I mean, I'm probably a bigger person in my state and I'm not, obese. So it's very apparent from state to state.
Because I was thinking it was an American issue, and then it has me question the food ingredients and what's allowed and what's not allowed, this and that.
Well, have you seen like the studies of like McDonald's French fries? The medium French fry today used to be the family French fry in the 1960s.
Oh, yeah, the size, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I don't know if it's so much the size or the portion amount, but what's inside of the food, man. That's my thing, because they say if you go to Italy, you could eat bread all day, pizza all day, and you won't gain any weight. And then you come back, and people come back from traveling from Italy, and they kind of eating the same, but they notice they're starting to pack on the pounds.
But then there's the argument, though, like you talk about fast food or McDonald's, they're everywhere. Not just McDonald's, but fast food is everywhere.
Yeah, but again, what ingredients are allowed? That's why one of the reasons why I wanted to eat the McDonald's there in Singapore, because I wanted to see, can I tell the difference on how it tastes from like American food? I couldn't really tell, though, to be honest. But I think in a lot of the traditional stuff that I ate in Brazil and in Singapore, it felt like lighter. Everything kind of felt like it was made from natural ingredients. I didn't have a lethargic feeling after eating, or I don't think anything was packed with like artificial sweeteners and things of that. It just felt like more light. Do
you remember that documentary that they made called Super Size Me?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually recently rewatched it. I watched it when it first came out, and I rewatched half of it a few weeks ago. I was in a
I
hotel.
also watched the other doc he put out where he created his own fast food restaurant. Did you see that one? The healthy fast food restaurant, and it would have like pictures of the animals that you were eating on the table. Or anyway, but I've seen the original one too.
So if
Super
you
Size
haven't
Me.
seen this guy is a vegan with his girlfriend. So first of all, he has a very different lifestyle than McDonald's, and he goes to eat McDonald's for 30 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he wants to see what it does to his body. And his rules are that he has to eat everything he orders. He has to, if they ask to supersize, he has to say yes. And so he goes out on this quest, and before he does it, he gets a medical evaluation. Well, you can imagine someone who's a vegan and he was very active. Was in good shape. He was a young guy. And then, 30 days later, of course, everything was horrible. His cholesterol was off the charts. He gained like 20, 30 pounds, whatever that was. But the problem I have with it is, like, there was one where he was eating a double quarter pounder meal, which is like one of their big burgers, I think.
Right.
I know, I eat it. He was so full, he threw up, and then he kept eating it because he had to finish it. It's like, that's not what normal people do.
Well, see, my problem with his whole experiment to begin with is you're not supposed to eat it every day for every meal. That's not what it's meant for. And on that kind of flip side of that coin, that's not to bet. McDonald's is not meant to be a career for you to raise a family on either. When people want to talk about raising minimum wage, this and that, that's a meal that's meant to be a fast food kind of thing once in a while, just like it's meant to be an entry-level job for a kid or somebody that's in school or what have you. So I didn't really ever agree with his whole experiment to begin with, just because you're not, everyone knows you shouldn't be eating that shit every day.
Well, and not only that, but he would always get Coke, not Diet Coke, and the big ones, that's like 500 calories, whatever that is. So it's interesting you say that about the price. I'm going to spin off a little bit here. What's the Fetterman, the senator? He's New Jersey, right?
Yeah. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah. Did you hear what he said yesterday, though?
Well, he's been making a lot of sense ever since he came back from his stroke. He had a little bit where he was rough. This guy's coming back like he got red pilled or something.
All right. No. It's not Fetterman then. It's one of the other Democratic senators that was interviewed that said they can't. Why? Oh, man, I should have got a source for this. But he goes, Americans should not be worried that McDonald's meals are $15. Inflation is temporary. They should be worried about a crazy dictator trying to come back, Trump.
I don't know if that was Fetterman, but
no, I think I read a Fetterman article right before that. While we talk, I'm going to look that. But speaking of Trump, though, so last week
somebody with TDS.
Last week, one of our topics was Trump was removed from Colorado ballot, and I live in that state.
Yeah.
You want to give an update?
Yeah, so it looks like it's not even. Hold on, did it get shut down by the Supreme Court? I don't even think.
No, it didn't. It didn't even get far. So this happened like 4 hours ago, and I haven't had enough time to do some research. But the state secretary of Colorado announced that he no longer will be on. And so one of three things happened: either A, the Supreme Court reversed their decision, the Colorado Supreme Court reversed their decision. Unlikely. Two, somebody with authority who could veto that, which is, I don't even think that's possible, but stepped in and did it because, as we talked about last week, it's probably inevitable that the Supreme Court would do it. And on top of that, all these Republican states are starting to talk.
Yeah, it was the right decision to put him back on the ballot because of the snowball effect that was happening. Then you had Republican states want to remove Biden from the ballot. So then it becomes, are we even going to have an election at this point? And then I was talking with my wife about it. Like, let's say they went that route. Let's say Colorado blocked him. Let's say Florida and Texas block Biden. Let's say all the blue states block Trump. Then basically what you have is just a battle between the swing states, which is really what it's going to be anyway. Because at the end of the day, Colorado is probably going to be blue no matter what, right? Whether there's voting or not. But I mean, you still have to have the voting system in place. I didn't agree with what the Republican states were trying to do with getting Biden off the ballot. It was kind of like a
revenge.
Two wrongs. Yeah, it was like a revenge-driven thing. It's two wrongs don't make a right. But I guess they're trying to fight fire with fire. Let's just have an election, let's let the people decide. But I don't even know if that's going to happen, man. It seems like this 2024 is going to get real crazy, man.
So speaking of which, I was Googling. I was right. It was Fetterman. Let me share
Was it?
this.
Okay. Yo, I'll tell you, Fetterman, he's been getting clipped a lot lately with a lot of like, he's making a lot of sense lately. Now, this doesn't
But
make sense.
not this.
You should definitely care about $16 McDonald's meals.
Yeah. So during the interview, he said Joe Biden is very effective, that
That's not
Americans shouldn't be worried about inflation with $16 McDonald's meal. And he was told, hey, when they talk to voters, they're worried about inflation. They really don't like the current economy. What do you say to that? And he went on, and this is the TDS stuff you're talking about. It's going to come down good and evil. Everything's about that. One is a criminal, and you really want them back in position.
Right.
And
so let me take back what I said about Fetterman making a lot of sense lately. So
I know.
From the clips that I've seen, he seems like everyone was questioning, like, yo, is this dude? He said he's starting to sound like a conservative, but that article, he sounds batshit crazy.
And that was one day ago. That was just one day ago.
Was president for 4 years, and the world was in the best shape that it's been in a long time, and which is kind of the reason we're even talking about this stuff, because the state that we're in now we're not in a good place right now, which is why so many people are speaking out now. But I don't think we could have had these conversations a couple years ago. You know what I mean?
No, and I mean, we still may not. One of my favorite things, though, about and this is nothing about Elon Musk, but about Twitter, is that you can find so many people on the left and right, Republican, Democrat, contradict themselves. Like my favorite one is where, when gas prices are high, someone from the White House, whether it's Joe Biden or his press secretary or the White House, will post that the administration has no control over gas prices. Then when gas prices are lower, like they are right now, they will literally go and say, thanks to the administration, we have low gas prices. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, and I'm sure previous administrations under Republicans did the same exact thing.
Shit. Yeah. Take credit when it's good, but no accountability when it's bad.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, but to your point, right now, it's like $16 for McDonald's. That shit used to be $3 to $4 in our lifetime, when we were in our adult lifetime.
We shouldn't be eating McDonald's anyway. They had a good run. But I think we all should smarten up. We should be eating our own food. I know it's hard, man, especially with people that work out of an office. You got a 40-hour work week or on the minimum or whatever. But, man, we shouldn't be eating that garbage anyway, man.
Well, to the point of grocery prices, I mean, so here in my state, we don't have bags. They don't have bags. They're not available in stores because, plastic is bad and all that. So we carry things out. We don't use, we're not going to pay for their,
right.
But we will carry 5 to 10 things out because we go to the grocery store often. We spend $10 an item on average.
Oh yeah.
And we're not buying high-end milk. We're buying store brand, skim milk.
Same McDonald's kind of puts an ugly face on it. But yeah, look at the price at the grocery stores. It's crazy, man. It's very expensive groceries these days. So even when you do want to cook for yourself and try to eat healthy, it's hard. What's funny? Like we a couple of times we've tried to not use the plastic bags just for the waste. So we'll put like laundry baskets in the back of the truck and just bring the cart out. We don't bag anything and just put them in the clear basket or whatever. But we always end up forgetting to bring the bins. So we've only done it once or twice.
That's why we like to go to Costco so much. They actually do give you the leftover boxes. So
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's anyway. All right, so
Trump's back on the ballot. So there's the illusion of a fair election coming in, even though they're trying to get him to not be able to run for president in other ways, trying to indict him and this and that. But
no, I think as April, May, June roll around, a lot of we're probably going to talk about the election every single week.
It's gonna get crazy, man.
If you like that stuff, make sure you're subbed to the channel and hit the bell. But next topic was what was on our thumbnail. So this is one we've been talking about for a while. Jem and I, if you don't know our background, Mr. Mint and Mr. X, the way we met is through collecting stuff. You see behind, he collects similar things that I do. Yeah. And we a lot of what we collect is comic based, but a lot of it's pop culture based as well. And we kind of got big into collecting around 10 years ago or so. And if you remember, about 15 years ago is when the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, really took off for Hollywood. And the reason that's so important is the Marvel Cinematic Universe did a number of things. Number one, it exposed a lot of people to the comics Jem and I grew up with and loved. And they started loving comic related stuff, whether it was in the cinema or books or statues or other collectibles. And then a lot of people, and I would consider myself one of these, that were huge into comics growing up, but we became an adult, so we kind of took a break.
Yeah.
You're having buzz feedback right now. I don't know if you're touching your mic.
I'm not doing anything.
And got us back into it, and not only into, and some people are just into the cinematic stuff. They just care about the movies, which is fantastic. And some of us like both. Some of us are more comic purists and absolutely hate the cinema. But so it had a huge boost for the comic and collectible world when the Marvel Cinematic Universe came out, because it was on fire for about 10 years. I mean, in a good way. Anything to add to that?
To your point, I think the success of the MCU brought a lot of people into the collecting hobby. So the thumbnail is not really to bash Amber Heard. It was just to be like a representation of how movies are now doing the opposite. They're negatively affecting the collecting hobby, which is like, where our passion really lies. This channel is really an excuse to talk about other things. But, we thought we would talk about how, it's funny how it brought people in and then scared everybody off. So with the downfall of not just the MCU, but comic book movies in general, we could talk about Aquaman. Aquaman 2 just opened up, even performing even worse than the Marvels, which was the MCU's worst opening movie of all time. So now you have Aquaman 2, which both movies were their first movies did over $1 billion in the box office. So you got $1 billion box office openings for the first movie. Now their sequels come out and they're the worst performing ever. And it's just a sign of the times that we're in. Now, let me throw this question to you, Mr. X. A lot of people will try to blame this on comic book movie fatigue. Oh, we're just sick of comic book movies. Do you think that's the reason why these movies are not performing well, or do you think it's something else?
So I don't think that's the direct cause, but I think I don't want to go too off topic. But one of the things that, growing up, when we grew up, and we grew up in the 80s and 90s, was a great time because so many original ideas came out. And now they're just recycling everything. And some of this includes comic book movies, but I mean, how many remakes or prequels or sequels? If you look at the trailers for 2024, me and my children just watched the trailers for 2024 the other day. 80% of them are remakes or sequels or prequels. Nothing is like a new concept. And so I think that comic book movies follow that line a little bit. So it's the same fatigue that we have with the other stuff. But I think what the question you're asking in general, no, because the movies are not as good as what they used to be for a number of reasons that I'm sure we're going to dive into.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So I think what's interesting about your take is I think a lot of the downfall of the MCU, for example, was them trying to do different movies, trying to do comic book heroes that you've never heard of or that were less familiar. They had success with Guardians of the Galaxy, so they tried to do Shang-Chi. They tried to do the Eternals. They did Captain Marvel, gave it a sequel. I mean, hell, it did $1 billion. It makes sense that they did a sequel. But I think that we're suffering not from comic book movie fatigue, but from bad comic book movie fatigue. Because if these movies were good, like Guardians of the Galaxy was an unknown team relatively, right? Compared to hardcore comic fans knew who they were. But I don't think that the movies have been good. They've been suffering from quality, from the writing standpoint, from the VFX standpoint. And I think the overall lack of direction. I think a big reason why Aquaman 2 failed is because fans knew it was part of the pre-DCEU, not the new James Gunn universe that we're going to be getting and that he's going to be building. So we knew it was a dead movie. It wasn't going to link to anything else, which unfortunately Marvel popularized. And that's kind of important now that the movie has to be part of a bigger scheme, But
well, I think the second part of this is what we originally started talking about, that protesters. So I'm going to tie these two together, I promise.
All right.
You talked about when someone is protesting, it makes us dislike the cause more when the protest inconveniences us or blocks us.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we see a lot of stuff being, a lot of political views being put into these movies nowadays. I mean, people pushing their agenda for whatever it is. Well, that I think has an effect as well. That really, I mean,
no, I agree. I think that's what turned a lot of people off. A lot of people that maybe were new into this. Oh, the Avengers are so cool. Oh, Iron Man. Oh, now they got Spider-Man. Now they got this character, that character. But then it's like you're watching these subsequent movies and you're like, oh, screw this. I don't want a part of this. And then boom, those casual fans are gone.
So I think another part of it, you're missing the big third part. I think COVID killed the cinema. During COVID, movie theaters were shut down for the most part. So I think that they did a great job getting some of those movies out to streaming platforms. That was exciting. I was so excited when that happened. But now the problem is movies, once they're released in a theater, generally 2 to 4 weeks later, they're available via streaming.
So that's the thing. When we were kids, how long did it take for a movie to come out on
6
VHS?
to 12 months.
Yo, it was like forever. You might have caught the sequel in the theaters before you had the original one on VHS. But now, speaking of that, I think Aquaman 2 is going to be coming out on Netflix. Yo, hold that thought. I think it's something.
It's probably HBO Max because it's DC.
No,
it's Warner
Brothers.
They
got a new home for it.
Okay, but as he's looking that up, I have a family of 5. We go to the movies. It's $15 per person. Plus, if we, spend on the high economical, we were just talking about the stuff we're going to spend $100, or I can buy it on Vudu for $25 and permanently own a digital copy that we can watch at home. We can pause. We can, finish it whenever we want. We don't have to leave the house. And I just got to wait 2 to 4 weeks for that. That's a huge advantage.
It says, I'm seeing January 1st. The film's set to start streaming on Netflix January 1st.
And it just released December 20th, right?
I don't know if it was last weekend or the weekend before.
I'll look at it right now.
Yeah.
But I mean that. But
I think they did that I think they did that on purpose because they knew it wasn't going to make the money at the box office. They probably got some big check from Netflix to get it exclusively over there. Like you said, HBO Max was the home for all Warner Brothers movies. So I don't know what happened there, but
December 21st is when it came out. So you're talking about 11 days.
Yeah, and also to your point and to Jovi in the chat, I never liked the movie theater experience. I would much rather watch it at home in the comfort of my own home. I could pause it if I have to. I can get something to eat. I don't have to get up, get dressed, get out, deal with all that, sit next to somebody I don't know. So, maybe that had a role to play, but I still think if they were putting out banger movies, people would be going there to see it.
Well, and let me drive this back to kind of what our original point was. So
how it ties into collectibles, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we're big collectors of comics and statues and a few other things. And I will tell you this right now, the comic and statue collectible market is shit. It is the absolute horrid thing. So these high-end statues behind me cost an average of about $1,000 or $1,500 each. Some are much higher, some are lower. And it used to be back in the day, 90% of the statues you buy actually appreciated. Yeah. You could generally easily get your money back, maybe make 20 to 100% profit or more.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you are lucky if you make 50% of the original purchase price. You are lucky. It is just crazy ridiculous, the market. And and part of that, I think, is economy related, what we were talking about earlier. I mean, people don't have as much money because they're going to the, $16 at McDonald's. But I think part of it is the passion and love that the cinematic world instilled into these characters is dying down because the movies aren't that good.
So maybe it's not fair to say that the movies themselves are killing the hobby. I do think that losing a large audience that are turned off from the movies is causing a ripple effect, just like it caused the same effect when it was hot and it got people in there. Because at the same time, you have collectibles themselves got more expensive. The shipping got more expensive. Like you said, when you're paying $16 for a meal at McDonald's, you can't afford to pay extra hundreds of dollars to ship some luxury statue. But man, I definitely feel like it's the same effect in reverse, turning people off from the movies and from modern comics. So I did a poll on my channel recently asking if you guys are still reading modern comics or not. 6,300 votes, and 68% of them said they are not currently reading modern comics anymore. So it just goes to show you, even though it's a small sample size, it's still 6,000 people voted on this here, but just to show you how many people are no longer into that hobby anymore.
One thing I want to point out, El Loco made a comment in the chat. When you were at some of those big movies in the theaters, like Endgame and stuff like that, the audience reaction made it amazing. And I have to agree with that.
That's
I mean, that's why you can search on YouTube audience reactions to all these big films. I mean, that's another thing I started watching lately. I'm watching people react to movies for the first time. There's like hundreds of channels that do that. You know what I'm talking about? Like popcorn in bed.
You're on. Yeah.
It's
like when Cap lifts Mjolnir for the first time. That was epic scene. But you also, so let's tie it into the thumbnail too. What do you think about these movie related pieces? Like, let's say you got this Amber Heard Infinity Studios life-size bust. What is it, $4,000 or something like that? And then the actress does something in the public which causes her to lose favor with the public. People don't like Amber Heard anymore. So what happens to this collectible that people had on pre-order, or that are these people forced to really separate the art from the artist and say, listen, I just want to have this movie set up display. I don't care what the actress did.
So I would say this. First of all, I want to say anybody buying that life-size bust, and then there's also the 1/3 scale, which I've reviewed. I think you have. But 50% of the people that bought it because they're a pervert. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm right. Not everybody. 50%. I don't know the exact number. Bought it because they're a pervert, and that's why they bought it. So those perverts, they don't really care. They're about physical appearance and everything. I think the others. So I look at it like me personally. I have a number of DCU statues, both in 1/3 scale and life-size.
You have Henry Cavill, Superman, Ben Affleck, Batman.
Yeah, but everybody I have is actually a pretty popular actor, because not only are they good on screen, but their personal life, there's no drama or anything of that nature. Right. So the reason I didn't buy anything Amber Heard related is because I didn't like her character. I mean, it was boring to me, and
just the Mara character herself, right?
Yeah, but I do have to say this though. It's like, let me flip the question on you. Let's say there's an actor you highly respect. Like, I think Denzel Washington, personally. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I love his views on stuff. Very real, very down to earth. Not to mention he's an amazing actor. What if he played a character I hated or had no interest in, and they made an amazing statue of that? Would I want to buy it?
No, because you don't like the character.
So I think it works both ways. I think that most people, they don't want to buy Amber Heard statues because of what she did in her personal life. Because I think it works both ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't collect movie statues to begin with. I think what's that?
Your wife talked about the proximity piece they made with that. A proximity piece is a part of the statue that you put next to it.
Oh, a turd to go with it. Proximity turd. Yeah. I think a lot of those collectors are overseas collectors too, that I don't think they necessarily get too involved with like the politics of it. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That
so you know what, they should pair up the Amber Heard Mara life-size bust with the Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean life-size bust
next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? El Loco just made a good comment. Let's talk about Jonathan Majors. We were talking about him last week. That was the topic of the podcast.
Okay.
So while there haven't been any statues of Jonathan Majors, and I think he should be punished for what he did. Maybe not to the extent like we talked about last week. Go check out last week's podcast if you missed it. I probably would buy a collectible of him if it was badass.
Yeah, well, I don't think what he did was too bad. I think he made a mistake in trying to put her back into the car physically, which ended up causing her finger to break.
He hurt a woman. Amber Heard just shit on a bed. I mean,
yeah, but she was also with a whole bunch of other psychological drama. There was more to it than that. But that's funny. I wouldn't get a life-size Kang. I wouldn't get an MCU statue anyway. But so was there a Hot Toys figure released for Jonathan Majors?
I don't know. That's a good question. Answer that in the comments if you know.
Yeah, I don't collect Hot Toys either.
Yeah, but yeah. So I agree. So the collectible hobby is hurting right now significantly, and I don't think we can point to the MCU or the DCU as the cause. I think it's one of the many
Yeah,
causes.
it's not helping, right? Yeah, it's definitely one of
No,
the
yeah,
causes.
yeah. It's not helping like it did, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, the amount of people that got turned back onto comics from the MCU and DCU is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think I want to say it brought me back in with 2008's Iron Man, but I was always a fan of it. I always watched all the movies, the prior ones, like the original X-Men and Spider-Man movies, the Fantastic Four movies, Rise of the Silver Surfer. So I was always up on it, but I feel like the MCU got me back into the comic shop. It got me into reading modern comics and then led to collecting statues and the omnibus and all that stuff. So it brought me in. I'm still here. But I know it brought a lot of people in that are not still here. I see them selling their omnibus in our Facebook group. We see them selling all their statues on Facebook in those groups as well. So that's the reason why they're also going for so cheap, because everyone's trying to get out. Everybody's trying to, dump what they have. We're oversaturated in the collectible market, and it's just not a good time for the economy, man.
So someone made a comment earlier on this, and I totally agree. So my favorite recent run in comics was King in Black. I loved it. And if you're unfamiliar, King in Black is a Venom run where basically they take the whole symbiote origin and it gets really intense. And it includes most of the Marvel characters, and it's a great run.
So Donny Cates is the writer he was writing Venom at the time, and I'm pretty sure he was the head of that event as well. Donny Cates is what I would consider like one of those rock star writers. He was like a big time name, a big name. Everything he touched was big and epic and fun. And he had a great run in comics. Unfortunately, he had personal issues in his life. He got into a car accident, and he ended up suffering from memory loss. He's been back on Twitter lately. So I would love to see him get back to writing stuff, because he was one of those writers that I think we needed in modern comics.
Well, he even did all that Silver Surfer and Thanos stuff that I loved. I mean, I thought Thanos Wins was amazing. But my point is, like, I would love that stuff to be translated to a good movie, not like the shitty Venom movies we had from
they
Sony.
had the Necro Sword from those comics in the Thor movie, Love and Thunder. Unfortunately, that movie pretty much bombed.
Horrible.
That's one of the movies that was like the last straw for a lot of people too. I rewatched that movie on the plane, one of the flights that I was on recently. I gotta say, man, I don't think it was that bad on that rewatch.
It's better. I've seen it twice. Once in I don't think it was a theater, but and I recently watched it too in the last 3 months. It was better the second time.
I agree. I found myself watching it on the plane. I was like, this isn't really that. The parts that people had problems with, sure, I agree. There was definitely parts that was like whack as hell. But overall, I was like, this wasn't that bad. They definitely butchered Gore's appearance from the comics because they wanted to show more of Christian Bale. But I don't know. I don't think it needed all that. I don't think it needed Christian Bale. It wasn't the type of role that needed like this blockbuster Oscar-worthy performance. But
has Christian Bale ever got an Oscar for American Psycho? Maybe.
So I recently watched American Psycho for my first time, and I got to say, I told you remind me of Patrick Bateman. You're giving me Patrick Bateman vibes right now with the slick back hair.
Oh, he has 4 of them. He's got 4 of them.
Well deserved. So I recently just watched his GQ. You ever see where they do that, like where they talk about their most iconic characters? So he talked about playing Patrick Bateman. He talked about playing Bruce Wayne. He talked about playing The Fighter. Did you see The Fighter, where he played that boxer?
Yeah, he did a great job.
Movie. He probably got an Oscar for that. And he was always known for his physical transformations too. He got crazy buff to play Batman. He lost so much weight to play The Fighter. What was he also in, The Machinist or something? I think that's the only one I haven't seen.
Reign of Fire. Have you seen that?
I have not seen Reign of Fire.
Oh, you need to do. All right, I'm serious, man. Write it down. Reign of Fire. Mrs. Mint, write this down for him. It's future. It's the future, and dragons have killed everything. Oh, and he is the. They're in London, and he's keeping a community of people safe from the dragons. Like every night, the kids pray not to run as fast as you can when you see them in the sky. And then all of a sudden, this huge American military confinement comes to the door of the castle or wherever they're staying. And Matthew McConaughey is bald and has a huge beard and has the most gruff, badass voice. And he goes, we hunt dragons. We kill dragons. And and they're at odds the whole movie, but you got to watch it. It's the future and dragons. That's cool enough.
You used to have a little dragon collection yourself, I remember.
I did. Yep. I love dragon movies, man. Ever since I saw Dragon's Lair as a child. You ever seen that
What
one?
about Never Ending Story?
He's not a real dragon. He's a luck dragon.
Yeah.
Falcor, right? Falcor.
Yeah. No, Rain
Anyway.
of Fire, that sounds good, man. I'll put that on my to watch list.
I'm serious. It's worth watching. So good topics today.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Are we
right.
going to be live next week or?
We are next Friday, a little early Friday night next week, 6 p.m. Eastern. Because of the holidays in the new year, we're going to get the schedule ironed out mid to late January. It'll be every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. But you guys can always, catch stuff on the replay. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that's tuned in both live and after. Don't block the road.
Yeah. Please.
If that's you, stop it. I don't think those people would be watching us.
Definitely not.
So, all right. Thanks,
everybody.
everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you.